how to plan a shop hop, 2 quilt shops, a little Nevada history, and prostitution, all on this week's episode of Rona the Ribbiter, the Traveling Quilter. I'm Rona the Ribbiter, also known as the Traveling Quilter. I travel the globe from quilt shows to quilt tours, shop hops to quilt retreats, and everything in between. Won't you join me for a quilt adventure? This last summer, Mom and I took a cross-country road trip in her RV. And this episode, we're talking about our section from Reno, Nevada, eastward out on I-80 to Utah. Our first stop on our eastward journey was a brief stop in Winnemucca. Winnemucca is a tiny little town, which Nevada is outside of Reno and Vegas. Pretty much that's what you're going to find. Everywhere is tiny little towns in the desert, but all of them are so unique and so much fun. And of course, Winnemucca has the Mad Hatter Quilt Shop. I did not get to do any filming there because they did not want to be filmed, but the owners are amazing. So I am going to share with you right now some photos because they are on my blog. I did take some photos of the shop and did a write-up on them. So I will put a link down there in the down below so you guys can check that out because the Mad Hatter is very cute. And of course, they do have the hats. In the state of Nevada, first thing that most people tend to think of is Las Vegas. But I'm here to tell you there's so much more to see and do, especially as a quilter, in northern Nevada. Fun fact about the state of Nevada is they're actually the battle-born state. They even have their state flag as the battle-born flag. There's a couple of reasons for this. First, they were inducted into the Union in 1864 because the Union didn't want the Confederates to get a hold of all of the natural resources that reside here in the state. The second reason is because it actually provided 3 more electoral seats to help Abraham Lincoln win the election. I think that's a quarry. I don't know, because it doesn't look like they're going down.
Well, you don't necessarily have to go down. The open mines, they actually take a mountain down. They start at the top and
I gotcha. Another fun fact about the state of Nevada is it's also known as the Silver State. The reason is because silver was the primary mining resource. As of 1999, Nevada produced 30% of the U.S.'s silver. According to the Bureau of Land Management's website, quote, mining has been and continues to be vital to Nevada's economy. The BLM Nevada Solid Minerals Program consists of minerals such as gold and silver and is the only state producing lithium, which is quickly becoming the gold rush of the 21st century due to its value for use in emerging technologies and stored energy. Nevada has the largest mineral materials program in the Bureau for sand and gravel and crushed stone, used in construction supporting the fast-growing population centers of Las Vegas and Reno. In fact, half of all the active BLM mines today are in the state of Nevada, including sodium and potassium and many more minerals.
Ruby Mountain, I don't know. You see that there? That's a mine. Where they've taken down a mountain for whatever they're going after. But look at the different colors of that earth, of the dirt.
want to see one of these mines in person, I'd highly suggest heading out to the old west town of Virginia City. Located only about 45 minutes outside of the Reno-Sparks area, not only can you get a great glimpse of what the Old West was like way back in the day, but you can also take a train ride out to an old abandoned silver mine. Just watch out for those train bandits. Our next stop along I-80 was in a little town called Battle Mountain. Be careful, if you blink, you'll miss it. Battle Mountain, Nevada actually has kind of a fun history. It was first come through in 1868 when the Central Pacific Railroad came through connecting from the west to the east. And actually it didn't become an official town until 1870. That was when the first post office was put up. For the next 100 years, Battle Mountain's economy thrived on shipping, mining, and livestock. Over the years, Battle Mountain has continued to prosper with the surge of copper mines and borite mines, a heavy compound used in oil production. There was gold found in Battle Mountain in the 1980s, and today it's still one of the leading gold producers. So if you ever find yourself traveling down I-80 from Reno to Salt Lake City, be sure to keep an eye out for huge billboards on either side of the highway that say Quilt Parlor Quilt Shop. What do you say we go in and say hello?
Hi guys, I'm Stephanie. I'm the manager at the Quilt Parlor. We're located in Battle Mountain, Nevada on 147 East Front Street. So let's go on a little tour, show you what we have.
Okay.
Okay, so we carry a lot of different moda lines, all kinds, some of their newest illustrations, flowers for Freya. We have a little art gallery section over here.
That's fun. Not a lot of places have art gallery.
No, and we love art gallery. The hand of art gallery is amazing.
Yes.
Because we're all touchy-feely people. So we have a wonderful Tula section. We're a little Tula obsessed at the Quilt Parlor, and we're proud of it.
Absolutely. And we got to check out this new Tula bag coming up.
Yes.
If you're familiar with the two toes, that's awesome.
So awesome. So that's Tula. We have a cute little 4th of July section with 4th of July coming up. You know, we have to be seasonal.
Of course. But what a great little set with the couch.
The cute little quilts. Let's see, over here we just kind of reorganized so that we have basically like a little kids section. A lot of this is Moda, some Riley Blake, Camp Woodland. We love that one. So cute. So a lot of variety, boy and girl. Let's see. Over on this side is where most of our quilt backs cuddle, and then we call it our color wall. So we just have a lot of like kind of tone on tones, colors. There's a sale section back there, so kind of all of that stuff in this room. You can see all of our cuddle. It kind of expands.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. Some wool. We do carry wool. From Primitive Gatherings. So we have a little section of that, not a whole lot, but some. Let's see, in fat quarters and in smaller pieces. Batting for quilts, quilt backs. Over here is our classroom. I guess I can open this up. You in here. So we offer. Wow. Yes. We offer all kinds of classes, beginner classes. We do some mystery classes, which are fun. Bags, all kinds of different things. It just kind of depends on what everybody wants.
Are you open for classes again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
awesome.
we have classes running right now, but one of them is the Farm Girl Vintage class that the quilt is hanging up here. So that one is running currently, which is fun. And that's kind of like a block of the month, so that's been like a 12-month
That's so
thing.
cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it just kind of depends on what everybody wants.
Right.
Rulers, some notions mats, thread.
Ooh, I see the wool mats.
Yes, we love wool mats too. We're big advocates for those. Laura Heine, we carry her collage. We do collage classes of that. Chris and another worker of ours, Jane, are certified to teach the Laura Heine. So we have two little of the minis hanging up.
I was noticing those earlier.
So those are up there. all of our little notions in the back. More Moda. Let's see. Sanctuary and I can't remember what that one is.
I don't know, but it's
Sunshine
beautiful.
Soul.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's like a sunset.
Yes.
Purples, oranges. We carry both threads now, Orville and Gutermann. We love Orville. Gutermann's new to us.
Have you used Gutermann yet?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. So this is our little batik.
Batiks, yes.
Yes.
Batiks.
We're a lover of batiks also. How can you not?
Great little pre-cuts.
Lots of pre-cuts. Tiny flannel section over here. It grows and then gets small and then grows, you know,
Oh yeah, yep.
the workings. So there's all of our flannels that we currently have. Very new to Moda Smoke and Rust line.
Ooh, I haven't seen that line
Yeah,
yet.
it's so good. The
That is
neutrals.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I may have to get some.
Yes. So Hopewell and can't remember the Kansas Troubles. There you go. Little section of that, and then we have a big Lori Holt section over here that is
yes.
mostly prim.
Nice.
Like that. So that's
Nice.
mostly
The shop.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. I just noticed that quilt top there with all the little squares to make the
So
bobbin.
that's Carmen Getty's her grid.
So cute.
Yeah, we put that little sample together to show people how easy
Yeah.
the grid can be.
Oh yeah, grids are fun, especially when you're working with the little 1-inch squares.
Yes. Not always fun to do without.
Awesome. That's the shop.
Yes.
Well, thank you for
Our happy place.
Yes, everybody's happy place, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining me and showing us around the shop.
Of course. Thank
All right.
you.
In this week's episode of Storytime with Ribbit, we're answering a question from Linnell Green. Linnell writes, in traveling from Lincoln, Nebraska to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, how much time do you spend at each store along the way? Is it better to book hotel rooms beforehand or just wing it and hope to find an open room? Well, Linnell, I have a topic in my book, Tips for the Traveling Quilter, that covers just this topic. So, Tips for the Traveling Quilter is available at RonaTheRibbiter.com and Amazon. Let's get started. How to plan a shop hop. A couple of years ago, I took one of those personality tests that show which of the main 7 traits you fall under. Me, I fall under 2 categories pretty much evenly. The people pleaser and the planner. Shocker. Which mostly means that I love to plan things and I really, really hope everybody loves what I plan. Looking back, I've basically been a project planner most of my life. Even when I was a kid, I enjoyed planning my school projects much more than actually accomplishing them. In fact, it was almost as if once the plan was in place, my hard work was done. Well, it seemed to me anyway. Over the years, I've planned 4 state-to-state moves, including our 3,000-mile trek from Washington State all the way to North Carolina, and more just for fun road trips. So you might say that when it comes to planning shop hop road trips, I'm your girl. To best illustrate my planning process, I'll continue by using the example of the North Carolina mountains trip along the Blue Ridge Parkway. After doing a little research on the quilt shops located along the Blue Ridge Parkway on the North Carolina side, I found a fairly large mountain town called Boone. There are 2 quilt shops located in Boone and plenty of options for lodging, so it seemed like the perfect place to begin my trip. From there, I decided I would work my way west along the Blue Ridge Parkway toward Asheville, North Carolina. Now, if you haven't been to the Blue Ridge Parkway, I highly suggest you add it to your bucket list. Known as America's favorite drive, the Blue Ridge Parkway stretches 469 miles from Cherokee, North Carolina, all the way to Afton, Virginia. Along the parkway, you'll find some of the oldest mountains in the world, the deepest gorge east of the Grand Canyon, breathtaking views, arts and crafting facilities, barn quilt trails, and at least 24 quilt shops along the entire route. As I said, the Blue Ridge Parkway is a must-do trip. For this particular trip, I only had a few days to work with, and as you can imagine, 469 miles will take more than a few days. So, Boone to Asheville would have to do. If you don't already have a set time limit, to figure out how long your trip will be, the first thing you need to do is know how many quilt shops you plan to visit. For most shop hop road trips, you can realistically plan 2 to 3 quilt shops per day, depending on how far apart they are. Also, you can plan to spend an average of 1 hour at each quilt shop. Now, I fully am aware that I can spend several hours at a single quilt shop, especially when I get to talking with the staff and other customers about a project. Yeah. However, taking several shop hop road trips throughout the years, I did the math. Even with our shop hop group of 4 to 6 people, we still only averaged about 1 hour at each quilt shop. For my Blue Ridge Parkway shop hop road trip, I planned to visit a total of 5 quilt shops. Therefore, I knew I would need at least 2 to 3 days minimum to visit them all. When I plan a multi-day road trip, I like to use an online guide to help me see everything laid out. There are several websites you can use for this, and they each have their pros and cons. For instance, Google Maps is most people's go-to website. However, you'll need to know your route ahead of time, as Google Maps does not give those suggestions. It does, however, give you driving time between locations, including toll roads and traffic jams. And Google Maps also gives suggestions for dining and where to stay, which is pretty helpful. If you don't know your route ahead of time, I like to use a website called furcot.com. With Furcot, you can add your destination points, including all the quilt shops on Furcot, and Furcot will plan the best driving route for you. It will tell you where to start and the easiest routes in between. Furcot will also give you suggestions on where to stay and other fun things to do in the areas that you'll be visiting. Don't worry, you'll get all these links on the show notes on ronatheribiter.com. Both Google Maps and Furcot are free to use. If you have an RV, which we did, for longer routes or plan to do a lot of road tripping, you can also use roadtrippers.com. This is one of the best online websites for planning road trips. Roadtrippers.com has everything from live maps with traffic advisories to hotel and food suggestions and more. There's also a section with tips and suggestions from other travelers. However, to get the full benefit of roadtrippers.com, there's a yearly fee. The next thing you want to add to your shop hop road trip plan is food. I usually like to plan at least 1 hour per meal if I've packed my own lunch, or I'll plan 1.5 hours if I plan to eat out. That extra half hour allows extra time for driving to and from your lunch destination. Next, I like to add in plenty of extra time to see the sights. On this particular shop hop road trip to the Blue Ridge Parkway, I added in 3 hours each day of extra time. And oh my gosh, was I glad that I did. A little more on that later. So far, I knew I needed at least 5 hours to visit 5 quilt shops and 3 hours each day for extra sightseeing. Adding in lunches and dinners, I knew I would need 3 full days of visiting and an extra 2 days of travel to and from my house. Therefore, my total shop hop road trip would require 5 days. If I haven't mentioned it before, I love antique stores. Stopping at antique stores is almost as much fun on shop hops as the actual quilt shops. So when I was driving along near the Blue Ridge Parkway and happened to round a corner and see a gigantic sign that said Antique Mall, of course I'm gonna stop. And boy, what an antique store. This place was huge. It was a warehouse that had been turned into 2 stories of shopping. Hanging from all the balconies were gorgeous handmade quilts. Rummaging through the many stacks, I found probably 50 more quilts of all different sizes, fabrics, and techniques. I had entirely too much fun spreading them out and admiring the work that went into each one. Sadly, none of the quilts came home with me. However, as I was making my way along the far wall, I happened to look down. On the bottom shelf, halfway hidden, was a Singer machine. Of course, I jumped down to pull it out of its cubby spot, and sure enough, this was a gorgeous old Singer sewing machine, complete with a case cover. The price tag said $50 and it works. So I snatched it up quicker than you can shake a stick, and off to the checkout I went. Surprisingly, the owner didn't even know she had the machine on the shelf. All the better for me, as I've been eyeing these machines for a long time, but this was the first one I found out in the wild. After getting home and looking up the serial number on the Singer website, I discovered that this machine was born in 1913 and predates the featherweight machines by 20 years. How cool is that? Take it from me, you never know what you're going to find on your next Shop Hop road trip.
Hey Google, what town are we in?
Here's a map of Elko, Nevada, 89801.
Continuing eastward, we finally ended up spending the night in a tiny little town, once again, Elko. Now, Elko, Nevada, I have to tell you, Elko was a lot of fun because, so we spent the night in the RV. We were at a little campground, which is just this cute little campground right off I-80. And we asked some people there where we should have dinner. We found out there is a Basque restaurant in Elko. So we decided, let's go check it out. It was supposed to be authentic food and great food. So here we go in the RV, headed down. Elko is one of those towns that has like 1, maybe 2 stoplights. So we finally find the place, which is on the corner of, I guess you can call it Main Street. I don't remember the name of the road. Anyway, it's not hard to find. It's on the corner. But unfortunately, parking is pretty sparse. So we turned down that road and went 2 blocks past the little restaurant. 2. And we found a spot right on the curb, side of the road, pulled over, turned off the engine, and look up, and Mom says, "Oh my God, we found the red light district." So, if you're familiar with Nevada, if you've ever been to Nevada or heard anything about Las Vegas, Nevada, and the red light districts, we actually have them. Prostitution is legal in the state of Nevada outside of 2 counties, I believe, which is Vegas and up in Reno, which is Washoe County. So, but the brothels do exist. They are maintained. They are regulated and all of that. But I never, ever expected to see a red light district in a tiny little town in nowhere, Nevada called Elko. Right 2 blocks past this Basque restaurant. But there were 3 of them. There were, and they had the neon signs going with the girls, girls, girls. We did not step inside. We just went up and had dinner, which was very lovely. And then we went back and went back to our campground. But yeah, so it is true. You really do find the brothels around the state of Nevada. That is true. Alrighty, hitting the road again.
Leaving behind his Iron Horse travel trailer RV thing resort. Space 32. That still is a cute little trailer.
That is Elko, Nevada.
I need an assist here.
I can't see behind the tree.
Okay, I'm moving up. I couldn't see.
You are clear to the right.
Okay. Whoa, what the hell?
That was my sewing machine.
Oh, jeez.
I'll get it when we get up. No, it's fine. Just go.
Sorry.
So here is a little lesson in packing your sewing machine when you get on the road in an RV. This little machine was right there. Unfortunately, I think my laptop was behind it, and I think the laptop was upside down and too top heavy. So as soon as we pulled out and made a left-hand turn, that's what happened. So let's find a new place for it, shall we? Now we have the machine shoved right underneath the table, back in there, and that little stool is caught on the table leg there. So this little guy's not going anywhere. All right, take 2, back on the road.